Hello, this is the BBC News with Fiona MacDonald. President Biden has said he thinks Russia will invade Ukraine, but has warned that the United States will impose significant harm on Moscow in response. In a news conference marking his first full year in office, Mr Biden said he feared a Russian attack on its neighbour would result in a conflict that could get out of hand. He acknowledged differences within NATO on how to respond to any Russian aggression, but warned Vladimir Putin of sanctions on a scale he'd never seen before if he invaded Ukraine.
I think he still does not want any full-blown war. Do I think he'll test the West, test the United States and NATO as significantly as he can? Yes, I think he will. But I think he'll pay a serious and dear price for it that he doesn't think now will cost him what it's going to cost him. And I think he'll regret having done it.
A global study has found that more than 1 million people died in 2019 from infections caused by bacteria resistant to antibiotics. The researchers say drugs used to treat common infections such as pneumonia are no longer effective enough, putting millions of people at risk of death. Under 5s are the most vulnerable age group. The first flights carrying aid to Tonga following Saturday's volcanic eruption and tsunami have taken off from New Zealand and Australia. The runway at Tonga's main airport had to be cleared of large quantities of volcanic ash to make it safe for planes to land. Steve Jackson reports.
A New Zealand Air Force Hercules plane is expected to be the first to land on the runway at Tonga's main airport, which has now been cleared of a thick layer of ash. On board are badly needed aid supplies for an island nation that has suffered severe damage from the tsunami. Water supplies on many islands are thought to have been contaminated by the ash. An Australian plane carrying emergency supplies and communications equipment is also en route from Brisbane. With several ships also heading for Tonga, there will soon be plenty of help, and it may also become clearer how bad the damage is and what the most pressing needs are.
Peru's government says an oil spill at a seaside refinery on Saturday linked to the volcanic eruption in Tonga is the worst ecological disaster in the area for many years. The Foreign Ministry said the Spanish energy company Repsol must pay for the damage and clean up the coastal area affected near Lima. The spill happened when a tanker offloading oil at the Pampilla refinery was hit by strong waves generated by the eruption thousands of kilometres across the Pacific Ocean. This fisherman in Cayo says Repsol must meet its obligations.
What
we want is for them to acknowledge the damage they've done to our jobs. They have to compensate us.
World News from the BBC. International airlines have cancelled dozens of flights to the United States because of safety concerns surrounding the effects of 5G technology on aircraft instruments. The airlines, including Emirates and British Airways, made the decision despite a temporary halt to the 5G rollout near airports. Altitude meters on several older types of plane use similar frequencies to 5G services. The US Supreme Court has rejected a bid by Donald Trump to block the release of documents relating to the deadly attack on Congress by his supporters last January. The decision means White House records can be released to the Democrat-led congressional panel investigating the assault. Lawyers for a jailed Nigerian separatist leader say he's pleaded not guilty to additional charges during his latest appearance in court in Abuja. Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the outlawed indigenous people of Biafra, is accused of terrorism and treason. The Nigerian authorities have linked the group to numerous attacks on government buildings. In another ruling, a federal court said the government violated Mr Kanu's rights during a raid on his home. Chris Iwoko reports from Abuja.
In a judgment given on Wednesday, Justice Benson Anya of the Abia State High Court awarded 1 billion naira, about $2.5 million, as damages against the government for the destruction caused to Nnamdi Kanu's home. Meanwhile, the trial of the leader of the banned Indigenous People of Biafra separatist group continued today in Abuja. The government added fresh terrorism charges, to which Mr Kanu pleaded not guilty.
One of the favourites in the Africa Cup of Nations football tournament, Tunisia, say they've lost 12 players for their next match after they tested positive for COVID. Among those missing for the final, crucial group against Gambia later on Thursday, is their star striker, Wabi Kazri. BBC News.